All right, today we're going to tear apart this whole myth of genius. The idea of innate talent or these mysterious sparks of inspiration that just appear out of nowhere. We're going to explore genius as something more like a machine, something that can be understood, built, and even replicated. So, let's get into it.
Curiosity is the engine of genius. That's it. Believe it or not, that one sentence is the entire source we're digging into today. It sounds so simple, right? But tucked inside this little phrase is an incredibly powerful blueprint for understanding and maybe even achieving some pretty extraordinary results.
So, to really unlock what's going on here, we have to treat the statement like an equation. We're going to break it down piece by piece to see the hidden mechanics of how genius actually works.
Look at this flow. It's so clean, so powerful. Curiosity fuels the engine, and the engine produces genius. It's a clear sequence, a process. And to really get the result, you have to start at the very beginning with the input, the fuel. Okay, so let's zoom in on that first variable in our equation, curiosity. But we're not just talking about, a passing interest. The kind of curiosity that works here is something way more potent.
The key word here, and this is super important, is active. This isn't a passive, that's kind of interesting. No way. This is an obsessive, burning need to understand. It's the scientist who literally can't sleep until they figure out why the experiment went wrong, or the artist who draws the same hand 100 times just to get it right. It's a relentless pursuit, and that is the high-octane fuel for this whole process.
Okay, so we've got our fuel. Now we need the mechanism, and this is where it gets really cool. Think about the specific word choice here. The source doesn't call curiosity a spark or a muse. It calls it an engine. And that one little word, well, it changes everything.
So let's ask that question. Why an engine? Of all the words they could have used, why that one? What does that metaphor really tell us about the process of creating something genius?
Well, think about it. An engine isn't magic, right? It's a system. It does three very specific things. First, it consumes fuel. That's our active curiosity. Second, it performs work. This is the messy part, the struggle, the effort, the transformation. And finally, after all that work, it generates power, a real, tangible output.
And that right there, that's the heart of it. This whole idea says that genius isn't some random lightning strike from the heavens. It's the consistent, predictable output of a machine that's been built and is running properly. It's a process, not an accident.
So we have the fuel, we have the engine. Now let's look at the output itself. And to do that, we have to completely rethink what the word genius even means in the first place.
See, most of us think of genius like this thing on the left. It's this rare gift, this mysterious spark you're either born with or you're not. It's for a special few. But this framework, it offers a totally different view. Genius is manufactured. It's the product that comes out of an engine that you build and run yourself, which means it's not reserved for a select few. It's accessible to anyone willing to do the work. This reframes the entire conversation. Genius stops being a noun, a label you put on a person, and it becomes a verb. It's an action. It's an outcome that you construct through consistent effort. It's not about who you are. It's about what you build. So we've taken the equation apart, looked at all the pieces. Now let's put it all back together. But this time, let's turn this powerful idea toward you and how you can actually apply this in your own life. Here's the formula, but personalized. That thing you can't stop thinking about, that question you just have to answer, that's your fuel. The hours you put in, the practice, the failures, the learning, that's you, building and running your engine. And that unique, powerful thing you create from that whole process, that, right there, is your genius. This is really the only question that matters to get started. What are you truly, deeply, relentlessly curious about? What's that one thing you just can't not think about? Find that. That's your fuel.
And once you identify your fuel, well, the next step is pretty simple. You start the engine. You get to work. The output, your genius, is just waiting to be created. The only question left is, what are you going to build?